Right, we're live. Right, good evening. Hello everyone, thanks for joining in and welcome to the final round of the Zwift Racing League Season 3. We are here watching the EMEA W Division A2. We're on board with Zan Kreese, who is guesting for us tonight in place of Aldney. And yeah, we've got a 5-rider lineup again tonight. Oh, sorry, 6 riders including Zan for the final race in Season 3 of the Zwift Racing League. My name is Travis and I am joined here by Matt Ellis. Good evening, Matt.
Good evening, how are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. How about yourself?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Excited to be here again for this final round. I'll go through some of the stats if you like. We've got 44.1 kilometres. 5 climbs, all pretty difficult climbs, around about 2 or 3 kilometres in length, and the final climb at Fox Hill, where the finish will be. We've got several KOM points, or Queen of the Mountain points today, on Fox Hill, Leith Hill, Keith Hill, and at the finish. There's no sprint points today, so it is really a race for the climbers.
Certainly sounds brutal. How many metres of elevation is it in, I think it's a 46-kilometre race tonight?
Yeah, so it's 1,034 metres of climbing today, so basically you're either going to be going up or down, looking at the course map.
It's essentially, so I guess they started out in central London, the central part of the course, and then they're just going to be messing around in the Surrey Hills, I suppose, for the rest of the event.
So they're about 2 kilometres in now, so they'll be just coming into the first climb of the day, Fox Hill, 1.6 kilometres, an average of 7%, followed by a 200 metre descent and then 500 metres of flat before they reach the finish. This will be the same climb that is taken on after 43 kilometres, so that'll be the final climb if you want to have a look at it while we go up it now.
Doesn't look too steep at the moment, but I imagine it will start to bite very, very soon. That's weird.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's going to be one of these races where it's not necessarily won on the first climb, but it can certainly be lost on this first climb. The race may explode. It looks like it's stringing out quite a bit already. A couple of riders going off the front, a couple of riders going off the back. So
Chloe there,
in 1s and 2s.
Yeah, Chloe there, who we're on board with now, has just gone past that dashed red line, which denotes the very start of the climb. But I mean, we're probably only 100 metres in. We're already punching up to that 11%. I believe it's quite a front-ended climb, this one, Fox Hill. Am I right in thinking, Matt? So the gradient should level off towards the top after they've tackled these first few tough 100 metres.
Yeah. So if you look in the top right, there's like a little route map, and it shows the climb's pretty consistent, and then there's a little bit of a descent, and it is actually flat or slightly downhill to the finish. And after that, the riders will get a good, probably 2 or 3 kilometre rest before taking on the next climb in this route. So it's a difficult one. A lot of sections where you have to go really hard, but there's also a lot of sections that you can just freewheel and try and get your breath back. But still, probably one of the harder courses on this game.
So this will be one for the climbers, but also one for those who can kind of punch, attack, and then recover quickly and do it all over again multiple times, I suppose.
Yeah, it's quite a VO2 kind of effort. It's probably be around, I'd say about 6 to 8 minutes climbs, something around that, 2.4k. Yeah, so it's kind of like repeated VO2 efforts. So
yeah, so more suiting, I guess, the criterium style riders, the riders who prefer the fast hour-long kind of crits, as opposed to perhaps the time trial specialists who would have been more at home in previous weeks on the team time trial events.
Yeah, this course it could suit to a time trialist. If their power to weight is pretty good, that's probably going to be the more important thing on this course is power to weight.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, with that flat finish, if you do come in like a bit of a group or a couple of riders, that kick at the end is going to be really important.
Definitely, yeah. So it finishes. Remind us which climb it finishes at the top again, Matt.
Box Hill, which is the same as the one we're going up now. So we're going up this one now, and then again in around 40 kilometres time.
Mm-hmm. So this is almost a recce, if you like, a sign of things to come, I guess. But as you say, it looks like it's stringing out quite a bit, as we sort of see there's a group of maybe 6 or 7 riders ahead of Chloe, who's currently sitting there in 15th in this trio, this group of 3. Do you think they'll be able to catch back on over the top?
Yeah, I think if there's a lot of solo riders ahead, a group of 3 or 4 could quite easily catch up later on in the race. I mean, we're still 3.6 kilometres in. A lot can change in the next hour or so.
Sure.
Maybe some of these stronger riders have gone off. As you can see, Hannah and Frankie both at the front, and Zan is there in 4th as well. So it's already looking pretty good. If these 3 riders can get over the top all together and work together, the gap could increase to the groups behind quite significantly.
Yeah, I mean, hoping you weren't right there, Matt, when you said they've gone off too hard, because 3 of our riders in the top 5 there, as you say. But
yeah, they're looking strong.
Yeah, they do. I mean, it was looking like, they're 10, 11, 12, 13 seconds back. That group of 5 or 6 from this trio up front. But I imagine it will come together on the descent, especially as kind of, I guess, a group or a peloton of 7 riders is going to have a much better aerodynamic advantage on the descent than these 3 riders, although it looks like Frankie is pressing on again to try and really, really put pressure on every rider on this course.
Yeah, so once we get over Fox Hill, we've obviously got the backward side of Box Hill descent. A little bit flat for around 1.5 kilometres, and then the next 3 or 4 kilometres it's slightly uphill, but it's not overly steep. It's more of one of those draggy climbs which might be quicker in a group before that kicks up to Leith Hill, where you get your first or the second comp point over the top. Obviously these 2 riders put in a very solid result at the Women's Team Series last weekend to the Banbury Star, finishing 7th and 9th, which was, well, I'd say it's quite a hilly course by the looks of it from some of the photos I've seen.
Yeah, I guess maybe it was this course is fairly similar to the event in Banbury if the riders up front are anything to go by. As Hannah's just getting on Frankie's wheel as they go over the descent or the peak of the climb, I suppose. Although you say it kicks back up again, so they've got that little downhill rest. And as you can see in that top right hand corner of the mini map, you might just be able to make out the black or dark blue banner, as the riders will soon be able to see that coming into view. But yeah, it looks like they've put some good distance into the BZR Black Flames team riders, of which there are four of those in that back group, in that second group, which also includes Zan as well, who, if you missed the very start of the stream, is guesting for us today. So you'll see she's got Spectral Wiggle PB Vitus on her rider tag, but she's guesting for Loughborough Lightning, the Recruitment Group today, sitting in for Alderney, who unfortunately suffered a crash at the Banbury Star Women's Team Cup that we've just mentioned the weekend. So best wishes to her. I'm sure she'll be watching and cheering on her teammates this evening. But we look forward to seeing Alderney back in action very, very soon.
Yeah, I think Alderney's probably going to be watching over Zan's shoulder this evening. Obviously, with them, I think they're living together, so I'm sure Alderney will be giving some support and some abuse and shouting at Zan all night.
Friendly abuse or otherwise?
Friendly abuse. Riding on the turbo trainer is bad enough as it is. So over the first Queen of the Mountain point, so it's first and second over there, some very solid points, and I think Zan was around maybe 7th or 8th, so that's a really good start, I'd say.
Yeah, fantastic.
10, 20, 25 points, 26 points already in the bag.
So Frankie's just dropped an Anvil power-up, and Hannah has just dropped a Van power-up. So would you like to just explain what each of those does, Matt?
Yeah, so The Van power up, I think that adds weight onto you. Let me just check. The Anvil makes you heavier for 30 seconds, so you can descend faster. Basically, the best place to use it is on the downhill, as Frankie has done here. Pair that with the Super Tuck, you can go extra fast with no effort. And Hannah used the draft power up, which is like the van icon with the blue background.
Yep.
That increases your draft for 30 seconds by 50%. So at high speed on the descent, Hannah will be drafting off Frankie, carrying the speed, probably coming past her at some point. It's just the best way of going down this descent as quick as possible with as little effort as possible.
I mean, you say that, but Hannah was just putting out 9.2 watts per kilo, I saw there. So she's obviously trying to sprint to get back onto Frankie's wheel here. Will she be getting a draft 1 second back? It doesn't look like it from the visuals that we're getting, but I guess.
Yeah, it should be anywhere between under 9 meters. You get a bit of a draft, but the best draft is between 2 and 3 meters or below.
Yeah. So on this descent, it's obviously Frankie we've just seen sitting at the 0 watts per kilo the whole time going down as it's just about to flatten out again now. But will she be pedalling backwards? Will she not be doing anything at all? Like, what's kind of the best thing? Because I guess as soon as you start pedaling, the legs start spinning on your avatar again, and you lose that super tuck position, don't you? So I believe you can pedal backwards, perhaps to kind of release a bit of that lactic acid that's built up over the course of the climb.
Yeah, when I did this kind of event, if I was in a group, I'd pedal a little bit just to keep my legs from turning. I'll really stiffen up, and by the time I get to this next climb, it would take me a good 5 minutes to warm back up again. But as you can see, like here, it's still going down slightly, so you can put on the power a little bit. You probably go quicker if you put a bit more power out, like 3 to 4 watts per kilo. But you're not going full gas as you were on the climb. Just ease back into it. As you can see, the gaps, that group behind the gaps come down now to 14 seconds, or 12 seconds. So that shows you what the group dynamics on Zwift can do. The physics, it's more beneficial to be in the group on the descent. It just makes you go so much quicker, really.
It's good to see Chloe and Zan both in the group and sat at the back of it as well, so not contributing to the speed of the group. It looks like it's the BZR team and a couple of the riders from Loughborough trying to push the pace. But of course they won't be getting any assistance from the two Loughborough Lightning, the Recruitment Group riders in that.
Yeah, what I'd say the best thing to do at this point is obviously Frankie and Hannah have established they probably are the two strongest climbers in this race. Is just go back to that group. Well, keep pushing now. But if it does come back together, just follow the wheels, get the comp points over the top, push over the top, rest on the descent, and just know they have the confidence when it comes to that final climb that they can ride away like they did the last time. Because I think if you go all in this early, it's still got about an hour's racing left to go. And it just really depends how much it splits on this next climb, I'd say. If this next group of 5 or 6 splits up and there's 1s and 2s, it could be beneficial, but we'll just have to see. Obviously, the gap is holding at around 10-11 seconds now as well.
As they start to climb, as you said, they've established themselves as the strongest riders or strongest climbers in this field. So I guess the gap, as we see it, is already pushing back out to 14-15 seconds. And I suppose the riders behind are largely going to keep looking at each other, I guess. Although it does look like the BZR team are contributing a few riders to the chase up the front.
Yeah, they've got a couple of riders in there. There's 2 from Loughborough, so 3 or 4 from Black Flames, and the 2 Loughborough riders can just sit there and just follow at this point. Save their matches for later on in the race.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see where the other Loughborough riders are in this field, particularly as they are leading the overall standings at the moment. And I don't believe, so we're currently in second. So Loughborough Lightning, the Recruitment Group, is currently on 133 points in the league, whereas the Loughborough team are on 135. Now, for a win overall, you get 20 points. For second place, you get 19. third place 18, and so on and so forth. However, despite us winning last week and Rockcore becoming second, the gap is still 2 points. So even if we win today and Rockcore finish second on the podium, they will still take the season title, so to speak, as this is the last round, race 8. But if the best case scenario would be for Rockcore to fall outside of the top 3, in which case we would, providing that Loughborough Lightning and the Recruitment Group took the win today, that would mean that we topped the leaderboard. However, if they came second, Rockcore would still win. If they came third, we would draw. So we want to see those Rockcore riders slipping down, hopefully, and seeing them finish 4th or worse.
Yeah, just thinking, if looking at the BZR Black Flames, they look like they could put in a good result here. Mm-hmm. So if the Loughborough Lightning and the Recruitment Group team win, they come second and Rockcore become third, and it's a draw overall. I don't know how they work it really. How they would it be on who's had the most team wins, or would they do it on the team time trial times? I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I've got to say I'm not sure on that. I'd have to check the rule book. I know there are playoffs into after this round, so there are 2 more dates. There's a points race on the 5th of June and a team time trial on the 6th of June. However, I don't know. I believe that's for promotion battle. But do you know anything further about that, Matt?
I'm not sure. I thought maybe the top team is automatically promoted, and some of the others, like the other 2 or 3 teams, will battle it out. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't been in the playoffs before. Been just outside the playoffs, but never been in the playoffs.
That was my impression as well. Is that the winner of the league got promoted automatically, and I don't know how many of the teams sort of battle it out for the next next bit.
That'd be a bit like the football championship, where the top 2 teams automatically go through, and then the next 5 fight for the next spot.
Yeah, I guess it would all come together in terms of the different regions would all sort of play off against each other, if you like.
Yeah, but I don't know how that would work, because all these riders would be in the same region next time, surely. But I don't know. Anyway, 30 seconds is the gap now. Back to that group with one BZR rider hovering at around 20 seconds, so the gap is extending quite quickly. Another 10 seconds in the last 2 or 3 kilometres.
Yeah,
we're still haven't really hit the main part of the climb yet, as you can see on that little map in the top right. Just onto the flat part of the climb before it kicks back up again for 2 or 3 kilometres over the top.
Yeah, I mean, it was almost it's almost over 20 seconds now since they started the climb, so they put a decent amount of time into the rest of the field.
Let me see if I can get Zwift power to work, shall we? We can get some live data up.
That'd be wicked, yeah.
How far are we in? 11.8. I can have some average power data. Frankie averaged 4.4 watts per kilo from the start and is expected to arrive 1 hour 17 minutes. So it's pretty long race today.
Yeah,
longest one yet.
I was going to say that puts it at the longest one, but I guess with it being the finale, that's a very fitting finish to the season. That's for sure.
It's a good one as well. We're at 19 minutes 20 seconds. Well, probably more than that now. And Hannah's averaged 4.7 watts per kilo, and her best on this game is 4.7 watts per kilo. So she's done a PB pretty much here. Yeah. I think she's about one watt off. So on the limit.
Yeah, I mean, she certainly is looking strong, and that's including the descent as well, I guess, isn't it? From the 20-minute perspective, so there'll be a large proportion of the time where actually she wasn't pedalling at all. So imagine what the stats she could put out if it was just a solid 20-minute climb.
Yeah, Zan looks like she's doing a good ride as well. Her power to weight is less than the other people in her group, so that shows that she's been drafting really well. So 3.9 watts per kilo. And the average for that group is about 4.2, 4.3. That is some top drop in there.
Looks like Chloe's unfortunately dropped back on this climb. She's still up there just in the top 10 in a group of a few other riders. But yeah, she has lost contact with that group of 7 other riders, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm looking. She's around about a minute behind, so only about 20-30 seconds off this next group, which is in a group of 4 riders with another group of 5 or 6 not far behind. I'm just looking for some Recruitment riders. There's 2 in the top 10, 1 in 17th. So Chloe has to fight them, fight them for the win. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure she'll give it a gutsy performance. But just looking at the rule book here, and for those of you wondering what EMEA stands for, I didn't know this. I knew it would denote something to do with Europe, but it actually stands for Europe, Middle East, and Africa. So those are the 3 regions that teams racing today can be from. So obviously, see a few see lots of Union Jacks. The Belgian flag of the BZR team. South African flag for Recruitment. I don't know if that's their registered country. But yeah, so that's certainly an interesting little bit of trivia. Did you know that, Matt?
No, I didn't. I've always wondered. Yeah, so obviously we've seen a lot of South Africans, Germans. It's quite a multinational event, really, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly quite a wide region. When you consider the other regions, Asia Pacific, so that's denoted as APAC, and then you've got America's East and America's West. So actually, this region is the only region that's supposed to span 3 different continents, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, this just shows you how large America is, really, isn't it?
Yeah, how many time zones it is, that's for sure, yeah.
So I think we're just coming into this climb now. As you can see, some more Surrey scenery. Nice wall on the left.
It's like the Queen stage of the Giro yesterday, where they had to show weather vanes and dogs and stuff at the finish line because they lost.
Just random videos of just random people, and then you just see Egan Bernal come around the corner with 300 meters to go, and could have been anyone come around that corner, couldn't it?
Yeah. I suppose it was a nice surprise for everyone. Well, not necessarily a surprise, but a nice sight for all the Colombian fans on the finish line. I think the commentators were saying they were gathered there en masse.
Yeah, that was. You don't really get extreme weather protocol in Zwift, do you?
No, I mean, sun's shining today. Just tend to get the odd downpour just randomly, but no, thankfully it doesn't affect the coverage.
Yeah, as looking out the window right now, the weather looks really nice. So I don't think we should have any problems with the weather tonight. I don't think there's going to be no lightning strike, knocks out your Wi-Fi tonight or anything.
Fingers crossed, eh?
Is your Zwift game on the lowest quality setting, Travis?
Yes, it is indeed. As you can see, the trees are mere blobs, but yeah, that's a safeguard that we put in place to try and make sure the stream doesn't drop out this evening for you.
Yeah, apologies. It's a little bit jumpy, but it's I can still see what happens. You can still hear us, so that's all that matters.
Frankie and Hannah looking like they're taking good turns on the front, swapping and sort of still staying around that 5 watts per kilo sweet spot, I suppose, if you can call it that, and still putting time into the main group. There's that one solo BZR rider, 30 seconds back, then it's actually Zan who's back and forth.
She's jumping across.
Yeah, further sort of 20 seconds behind that BZR rider, and then it's kind of another 10-15 seconds back to the main group, if you like, if you can still call it that, although it's looking very splintered if you take a look at the times.
Definitely exploded, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's riders everywhere. It's going to be a time trial to the finish now, really. Okay, it's team time trial.
Yeah, it's good that both Hannah and Frankie are at the front, I guess, and that it's not one rider from one team and one rider from another, because this means actually they've both got the same interests at heart. As Frankie now puts in a little dig to try and make sure she gets over the top of the hill and under that Zwift Racing League banner in first to take the full 10 points, as Hannah takes 9 points. Be interesting to jump back now to Zan, who looks set to take 4th place. And
that's the 26 points. I don't know if you can see the data on the left for the fastest over the climb as well. I presume that'll be top, first, second, third, and
at the moment,
second and fourth. Sorry. It looks like Frankie Hull's set a new personal record up there as well.
Great news, yeah. Clearly in form.
Yeah, Zan's looking like she's at a good heart rate there. 197 beats per minute. I wonder if she's got the real life gradient on there, looking at the cadence.
As you say, grinding away, yeah. But now she looks...
Yeah, she must have 11%. Oh. Yeah, it's quite a hard course, this. I wouldn't want to race it, if I'm honest. I've watched some of the other live streams from the men's races, and it's big numbers.
So we just drop back to one of the Rocket Corba riders. About 33 seconds back from Zan, but a further minute ahead of Chloe, who we just jumped back to now. Who's just deployed a feather power up, so she's in good company with a few other riders there. So what's that? 4 or 5 riders within a few seconds of each other. It's good to see, because they'll be able to hopefully use numbers to their advantage on the descent, as we saw previously, and see if she can try and get up into those top 10 positions. Because obviously, the closer you are to the front, the more chance of getting good points at the finish line are. And as it stands, she's just outside of the points for the individual climbs. So obviously, top 10 riders over each of these 5 categorised climbs gain points. But Chloe looks like she's going to come over in either 11th or 12th place. She looks one of the stronger riders in this group of 4.
Yeah, I've just been looking on Instagram, just flicking through, and I just see Zan posted about 30 minutes ago, so she must have done that right on the start line. Multitasking is still in 4th place, so takes some skill, that.
Either that or a warm-up was far too easy.
Right, let's see if I can reload the live powers, see if we can see any more averages.
Yeah, so Hannah just rolled over the line there. Sorry, Hannah. Saying Hannah because she's on our screen now. But Chloe rolled over the line there in 13th position, so unfortunately no points for her up that last climb. But we now rejoin the leaders, Frankie and Hannah, who have a good 30 seconds over the lone 3rd rider, who is a further 20 seconds ahead of Zan, who is guesting for us today.
I'm just looking on the Zwift Insider app at the moment, and I'm looking at the strategic options for this race, which is quite interesting, looking at what they predicted would happen and what is actually happening. It says the front group will get smaller on each climb. So that happened on the first climb. Many riders will blow up and drift back. Obviously, you can see that happening with it all just blowing up all over the place. The fastest points for Fox Hill, which is the first one we climbed, they say that the fastest time segment will be set on the first clutter. Apparently, with the feather only lasting 15 seconds, it doesn't really make that much difference. But as you know, marginal gains.
I know that
every little advantage.
There are certainly times where I've been sort of clinging on to the coattails of a group going over a climb, and that 15 seconds has definitely saved my bacon. So I beg to differ on that point.
Maybe the best thing you could do is save it for the sprint. Maybe.
Yeah, potentially.
Get an extra kick.
You certainly wouldn't want to deploy the anvil, would you, in the final sprint?
Yeah, if you're going to deploy that, you'd have to do it on that little descent beforehand and go long, wouldn't you?
Mm.
That could be a good tactic. It'd be interesting to see if these two riders go to the finish, if they'll come across the line together, or there'll be some attacking going on.
I think looking at the gap they've got, that's for sure. I don't think it's going to kind of come back together, if you like. Perhaps one or two of the riders might bridge across if these two weaken, but I think Dave will be on the Discord and pretty keen for them to keep working together. I think because although one may be stronger than the other on the climbs, I think certainly on the descent there's something to be said for sharing the wind, if you like, even though they're on indoor trainers, but the wind in game.
Yeah, definitely. If it comes to like the final climb, I wonder if they'll be free to do what they like, or they'll be come across the line together. It'll be interesting to see. But we've still got a fairly long way to go. All just under halfway now. I believe the next climb will be. Let me just check. It's a bit of flat and a box hill. So box hill backwards.
Lovely.
Yeah, one of the more famous climbs in the game. For those of you that watched the Olympics in 2012 or have ridden the Prudential Ride London, apart from the year that Box Hill was shut, you should know this climb pretty well.
Yeah, obviously not in the same proximity in game as it is in real life. They've taken out some fairly big chunks of London to squidge these two together, but obviously it's a fantasy game, I suppose. You've
got the magical the underground that takes you out, and within 1 kilometre you're out in the middle of the Surrey Hills. if only that bit was real. Wow. Just whacked my knee on the table there.
At least you'd fall off your chair. I think that's happened a couple of times. I've been listening to the GCN race pass these past few weeks.
Yeah, I try not to do that. I'm leaning back a bit, so I'm just trying not to fall over. Good job the camera's not on.
Relaxing and settling in for another half an hour, 40 minutes of racing.
Yeah, would you? Do you want to flick back and have a look through some of the riders further down the race?
Sure, yeah.
Obviously, I think this bit is more of it's like a flatter section of the course, so it'd be a good time to just run through, see where all the other riders are.
So we're there with Zan again, so she's on her own, kind of in no man's land, really. Still working extremely hard, putting out, she's sitting at 186 beats per minute there. Still quite a low cadence, actually, compared to the likes of Frankie and Hannah. But it's obviously working for her. So she's 23 seconds in arrears of Van Hove from the BZR Black Flames team, and a further 19 seconds ahead of two of the BZR riders, who are also joined by one of the Rocket Corba athletes. So actually, it really is. It's a 3-horse race in the final race of this season. Obviously between ourselves, Loughborough Lightning, the Recruitment Group, BZR and Rocket Corba.
Yeah, I was just going to say as well, I see there's 6 of you watching now, and we've only got 1 like on the stream, so if you could give it a like, give us a subscribe, and come say hi in the chat. We'll be happy to come and talk to you in this last 24 kilometres of the race. Come say hi.
Yeah, so Rocket Corba have got their own kit, so they must be a pretty big and pretty established team. So actually, I think that shows just how well the Lightning team are doing to be up there and actually beating the Rocket Corba riders in a larger portion of the races. Unfortunately, we had a week where it was a fairly poor week, not necessarily sort of overall, but actually a poor week by our standards, where actually we only finished. I think we finished 4th. In week 6, we only got 16 points. So obviously, as I mentioned earlier, the winner gets 20, second place gets 19, third place gets 18, fourth place gets 17, and then we ended up finishing 5th on that place in round 6. Not sure what happened that week. We didn't live stream it. Unfortunately that's come back to bite us a little bit. Although we've been the more consistent team. The Rocket Corba team of their worst position has actually been third in round 2, and the rest of them have all either been wins or second places to us.
I think that's just the bad luck of us not doing the live stream that week, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe
it's all our fault. I'm sorry.
I believe you said it was on the Champs-Élysées in Paris that week. So actually, it was much more.
Yeah, that was that week.
A tactical race, I suppose, and positioning kind of came into it a little bit more instead of strength, perhaps. So maybe our team just got lucky. But yeah, we could theorise about it all day, I suppose.
Yeah, there's so many things that can happen in bike racing. There is quite a bit of luck involved, but I know some people say there's not much luck involved, it's more skill, but there's definitely a little bit of luck involved. Yeah, some weeks, well, there's that famous saying, some weeks you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail. It's one week you can win and feel the best, and the next week you can feel horrible, and yeah, it's just very, very unpredictable sport, and it's quite hard to stay at the top. What's this on the comment? I think Frankie's heart rate monitor didn't work that week, so she was disqualified, I think.
Ah, I see. That might be it. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, obviously Frankie in the other rounds has scored us some significant points both on the finish line and at the intermediate time checks, climbs. Yeah, so one of our top riders.
Yeah, that just shows you there's so many things that can go wrong in technology and everything with Zwift. I know I did a race a couple of months ago now, and my heart rate monitor's packed in. I was like, oh, what a shame. It's annoying, really, because you go on the results and you're not there, and doesn't help your ranking and all that, does it?
Yeah, all that effort gone to waste. But
yeah,
just starting the third climb now. I believe. Well, this group with Chloe in it. So the other girls. So we got Zan a minute and 14 further up ahead, and Hannah and Frankie will be potentially another minute or so ahead. We'll get a time check in a minute. But yeah, just checking with you, Matt. This is the start of the third climb. I am right in saying?
Yes, this is Box Hill. Start of the third climb. There's no points at the top of this one, so this is just in there to sap the legs just a little bit more. So I think right now we're about halfway into the climb. Once we crest the summit of this climb, down Box Hill, up Keith Hill, and then a fairly long descent. And it's a little bit rolling before the final climb of Fox Hill to finish this Zwift Racing League.
Yeah, so Hannah and Frankie have got a decent gap of almost a minute now over Van Hove. And then, yeah, a further 30 seconds back to Zan, who's still on her own, still going solo. I guess actually this course isn't too bad if you're just a solo rider, because there is so little flat for the group dynamics to work. I suppose everybody's so spent and trying to recover on the descents and on the flat to an extent that actually they're not going to be particularly willing to do much work.
Yeah, so Dave's just put in the chat, he says we need Rocket Corba to come third.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can see some of the riders. There's 2 in the top 10, or 3 just outside, so it kind of depends on the Black Flame team. Really need them to come second.
Yeah, that's it's largely out of our control. Due to, well, I mean, our team's obviously going to do the best they can. I think not wanting to count our chickens yet, but I think we're pretty set for a good result and hopefully a win. Especially if Hannah and Frankie can hold out in front like this and take 10 and 9 points respectively over each of the climbs, and then obviously the full points available on the finish line as well. I think we're pretty set for a win there. But like you said, we just need the BZR Black Flames team to come through and finish second for us, and it would be a tie in the series.
Let's just hope that the commentator's curse doesn't in the next 20 kilometres. But
fingers crossed, eh?
Yeah. I think Dave says Loughborough third, Black Flame second, and Loughborough Lightning Recruitment Group win would mean they win the series, I think. So I think it may be done on how many wins you've had. So
that would mean we would get promoted to Division 1. So we're currently in Division 2, aren't we?
1, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Division 1.
And
It'll be interesting to see. I don't know when the next league is. I think it won't be until the autumn now. I don't think it does summer 1. While we're at it, obviously the Giro d'Italia's on at the moment. Travis, who's your pick for tomorrow?
I'll be honest, I haven't seen the stage, but give me a quick 10-second summary.
193 kilometres, mostly downhill for the first 150, and then 2 Category 1 climbs with a mountain top finish.
Crikey. I mean,
the first 150k sounds nice.
Yeah, I was going to say that would suit. Well, I don't really know, to be honest. What kind of suit a time trial, I guess, wouldn't it? But yeah, a good descender, depending on how steep we're talking. But I imagine if it's 150 kilometres downhill, I imagine it's a very gentle gradient. But I think with that amount of climbing at the back end of it, I think you'd be silly to bet against Bernal with the form that he's got at the moment. But I suppose with 150 kilometres, perhaps a breakaway might be allowed to get away, as we've seen quite often in this year race so far.
Someone from the break.
Yeah,
he's pulled out, hasn't he?
Yeah. Also, with that amount of climbing, I imagine it will have to be somebody who's particularly adept at climbing. I'd like to see somebody like George Bennett get it. To be honest, somebody who seems to have worked extremely hard so far in the race, but so far been rewarded with some bad luck, I suppose, and bad tactics. But yeah.
If it could be someone from the Vila Games team, I'd be very, very happy. Anyway, over the Box Hill, there's no points here, so nothing to worry about. We've got there pretty quick, haven't we?
Yeah, I think like you say, but Box Hill, presumably that's why it's not been categorised. Is actually its average gradient isn't particularly steep, particularly punishing. So yeah, they seem to fly over there, and they're already up to the threshold for the Super Tuck. So getting up to 70k an hour now. Yeah, Hannah's on Frankie's wheel as Frankie drops an anvil and Hannah drops a vampire up again. It's like deja vu.
Yeah, has Zan been caught by 1 or 2 riders from the Black Flames team? About a minute and a bit behind, 1 minute 40.
Yep, so we're on board with Zan now. So there's actually one of the riders has attacked again to try and get over the front. Would it actually be, I suppose, somebody doing, if we could do some quick maths on this, I suppose, or if Dave would be able to do the maths on it, but would it actually be advantageous for Zan to let the BZR riders beat her over the categorised climbs and at the finish line if it meant they were going to come second and not third? Would they have thought about
that? Good point. I didn't really think about that.
It's a tough one, isn't it? Yeah.
I think either way it should be fine, looking at the number of riders they've got ahead. So they've got the 3 riders.
Yeah, it's an interesting one.
Yeah, depends where the other riders are, really. So normally, if you're not really in the top 10 anymore, probably going to be hard to get points.
So there's 2 Roca Corba riders there in the top 10, and obviously the BZR team have got 3 riders there, so it's still fairly close. I mean, I guess they are slightly further ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Dave may have to get his calculator out soon. And, maybe on the final climb when you've got a slightly clearer picture of what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now coming over the lip of the climb into this descent for 3 or 4 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Good bit of rest in the Super Tuck, minus -8% here. Or we go on to the next categorised climb. It's just relentless, this course, really. Keith Hill, it's quite quite a difficult climb. It's the one we did earlier, Leith Hill, but backwards.
Yep.
So Leith Hill 3.6 kilometres average with 6%, and there's 2 kilometres in the middle of that, more than 8%.
I guess we're on board with Chloe now. Sorry to interrupt you, Matt. I guess the key for her here is to try and get, not on this climb because obviously it's not categorised, but on each of the climbs she is within reach of that 10th place spot. So actually, if she can nab that 10th place position, particularly if it would mean denying the Rocker Corber rider a point, who's also in this group, that's got to be her mission for the rest of the day, I imagine.
Yeah, I think Dave will probably be shouting at her to deal with that final point. I think every point's going to be crucial here to not let the Rocker Corber riders get anything.
Yeah.
Probably some of the Rocker Corber riders are watching in here and moaning at us for saying that, but we're slightly biased. Yeah, so once we get to the top of the next climb, it's going to be at 31.2 kilometres into the race. And then it's 10 kilometres downhill. So, yeah, once you get over this next climb, you get a good bit of rest, a good 10 kilometres to regroup and get ready for that final climb of Fox Hill.
Chill out, yeah.
If I can get some more live stats on here for some of the riders, we can see what the average powers are, if it's changed much from earlier. So wait for that to load.
I believe looking at the results, the rules and regulations again, I actually don't know whether the playoffs are relevant to Division 2. I think it's perhaps only relevant to Division 1 because it's all about, basically it talks about how all eligible Division A1 teams will go into the championship playoffs. So essentially that is for all Division 1 teams to try and battle it out to go into the Premier Division, which of course is the top one. So yeah, I don't think we as I said, I don't think the playoffs are relevant to us at this stage in the day. Perhaps after the autumn season, but yeah, not for this league.
That is good. Obviously, next winter will be Division 1 for the team. Division 1 will be pretty good. If they win that, then that will be straight into the Premier League with the big boys, or the big girls, sorry. But, yeah, live stream, and then it gets really serious. Weigh-ins. What other stuff do they have in the Premier League? Weigh-in videos, all that kind of stuff. You have to do specific tests. Your height needs to be exact. Obviously, the riders have got all their stats perfectly correct.
That's one of the benefits of having Loughborough support services. As one of the partners for the team, is actually all the riders will know all their stats and everything like that. Yeah. They'll be very aware of it all, and that means that they can put in the right numbers, and I mean they're playing fair at the end of the day, which is important.
Yeah, they were in the labs last week, so they all would have got weighed before they went on the race. I think, were they on the turbo trainers from the university? So they'd have them turbo trainers, and I think they all ride power meters as well, so you've got a dual recording there. Then that goes onto the Zwift Power website, and you can measure the 2 power meters, see if they're fairly close together.
Yeah.
I don't know what the percentage limit is. It's a couple of percent. Obviously, no power meter is exactly the same. So you've got to have a bit of lenience.
Yeah.
All there to make sure that the riders are riding fair.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, the aid for anti-doping is actually called ZADA, so it has its own anti-doping agency. So obviously that stands for Zwift Anti-Doping Agency, I believe. And yeah, the height has to be entered and kept, so it can't just be sort of put in at the start of the season. Not sure how many riders are going to grow over the course of 8 weeks or shrink, but there you go. So it's got to be to the nearest centimetre, so approximately half an inch, and weight has again got to be entered and maintained, so changed week on week to the nearest 100 grams or 0.1 kilos, which is about a quarter of a pound.
Yeah, obviously, needs to be as precise as possible in the Premier League. Some of these leagues, I think it's within half a kilo.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So either way, it's not any difference. I know a kilo does make a difference, but if say you weigh 67.8, just stick it at 68. So just to the nearest half.
Yeah, I mean, it does say here again in the rider verification from ZADA can actually select teams from any division to provide height and weight videos. So again, and that can be anything up to 12 hours after the race or 12 hours before the race, apparently. So yeah, I can't say I've ever heard of that, particularly in the lower divisions, in sort of Division 3, Division 4, but apparently it is possible.
Yeah, in the Premier League, every race you have to send in a weigh-in video beforehand, within 24 hours or something. Yeah.
And again, I remember you saying about how Frankie's heart rate monitor didn't transmit any data. Sounds like they might have updated the ruling on that, because actually it explains that instead of not receiving any of the points, they only receive 50% of the points. So actually, it wasn't a complete disaster.
Is it 50% of the whole team points or just Frankie's points?
It just says riders not transmitting HRM data will be awarded 50% of points at the end of the event. So I would assume that's just the single rider.
Yeah, it sounds that way, doesn't it?
However, interestingly enough, they're not required for TTT events. So
that's weird.
Yeah. Quite interesting, these Zwift rules.
Yeah, it's obviously there's a few things happened in the past that some of you may be aware of, with a bit of Zwift cheating and a lot of riders being banned and stuff.
Yeah.
Bit of data manipulation, so it's very strict now. Obviously, there's prize money involved, so not in this league, but in other races, when there's money involved and all that kind of stuff, it's important that everyone's not cheating. Obviously, with like road cycling, you have the World Anti-Doping Agency. The Zwift have the Zwift Anti-Doping Agency. It's not just what you're putting in your body. It's you've probably all heard of like motor doping and all that kind of stuff. It's all just trying to prevent all these different technological advantages, really. So everyone's on the playing field, on the level playing field.
It's all about transparency and also like making the sport legitimate as well. Because I mean, at the end of the day, like I think Zwift already, or e-racing, Zwift and the other platforms already get a pretty bad rap from the other disciplines for not being proper cycling in inverted commas. But if anything, I think that Zwift racing is some of the hardest racing you can do, and I think a lot of riders have either shone through it and sort of used it to supplement the training, or actually they realise that it's not for them and actually found it too hard, I think. And there's a lot of professionals who will attest to either of those conclusions.
Yeah. Anyway, we're coming up to almost the top of the penultimate climb of the day, 30 kilometres in, so a couple hundred more metres. Coming over the top, it'll be another 1-2 for the Loughborough Lightning, the Recruitment Group riders. Zan is still in that group just behind, at 2 minutes 17 seconds now. So he's 2 riders at the front of really field. As I said to Dave earlier, it'd be good if this Zwift Racing League was a stage race. It'd be a big day on GC today, wouldn't
it? Yeah, that's for sure. It just looks like Zan might be struggling to keep contact. She's a second adrift of the two BZR riders. Hopefully she manages to kind of keep that rope intact and don't let it snap too much. Or that actually, no, looks like she's on that wheel again now, so no danger of being completely dropped.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to race this one anyway. Would you, Travis?
I don't think I'd make team selection for this one, Matt.
Yeah, would that be for the team time trial, I think?
Don't tend to have to worry too much about the hilly races, but my remit's normally just make them hurt on the flat and on the downhills.
Make them hurt on the flat, so when they get to the climb, they're already knackered.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So still got 300 meters of climbing to do as well.
Yeah, I mean, they certainly broken the back of the majority of the climbing today, but 300 meters is certainly nothing to sort of dumb down or put down, especially when it's coming in less than 15 kilometers as well.
Yes, you wouldn't think that you could do that much climbing around London. Like I've never really ridden around Surrey, but I didn't think it would be this hilly.
I guess they've cherry picked the most exciting climbs, I suppose. Yeah, for creative. Yeah, I don't really know how to phrase it. But yeah, I guess.
For Zwift riding purposes,
yeah,
to make it as enjoyable. Well, I say as enjoyable as possible, but
I don't know. A lot of people seem to enjoy climbing, Matt. I don't know what's wrong with those people, but
yeah. Have you ridden deep yet?
I haven't. No.
I actually really enjoy it. It's quite good. I did my race activation ride last week on there, and did a little effort of the new climb. It is actually quite cool. It's very twisty, hairpinny in it. There's about 4 minutes at pretty hard. So, and it seemed to fly by. There's just so much to look at and everything. It's nice. Makes training enjoyable.
Nice new map. Yeah. As I say, Frankie and Hannah have gone over the top of the climb now, so they are well in front. So hoovering up the top points. As we just jump back to BZR rider in third, who is solo, and further 30 seconds back is Zan, who is in this trio as she now drops down those orange numbers. Going for the sprint, looks like she's got a decent gap in. So yeah, she is going to take fourth over the line on this climb. So that's a good number of points for Loughborough Lightning, the recruitment group again. So
now it's time for the good bit, the descent. Onto the top tube. That is actually land in real life, so that was frowned upon a little bit.
That was a great little effort from Zan there as well, dropping over 10 watts per kilo at the top of an effort like that. I mean, over 190 beats per minute? That certainly takes some doing, and I think shows the level of fitness and commitment that Zan is putting into this race right now. As the other riders, they can't have had anything left, because I imagine they're going to fight tooth and nail for every point. So that's a great effort there.
Yeah, but the rider's only 30 seconds up the road as well, and with 3 of these riders in the group behind, that gap could close.
Yeah.
They could make it a 1, 2, 3, which would be that would be quite a dominant performance, I'd say.
Certainly be impressive, yeah. I think with either Loughborough Lightning, the recruitment group, or the Belgian Zwift riders Black Flames team, making up all of the top 6 positions. I'm again not counting our chickens yet, but I think it should be on for a 1-2 for Loughborough Lightning, the recruitment group, and the BZR team. However, having said that, Rocker Corba are in 7th and 8th currently, and 10th as well. So yeah, it's going to be a nail biting finish.
Yeah, just need to hold off them Rocker Corba riders, the Black Flame riders here. So Zan will be definitely helping with the pull-in on the front of the group here to try and keep this group away. Obviously, it's downhill now. They're probably not going to catch much or anything down here. It'll pretty much all come down to this final.
You say it's a decent 10 kilometres of flat as well. So that's sort of the first significant of the entire race. So I suppose peloton dynamics could come into it a little bit more.
Yeah, so the bottom of the climb is at 37 kilometres, and it's 3 kilometres or 3 or 4 rolling, not flat but up and down a little bit. And the final climb starts at 41.1 kilometres into the race, so in about 7 kilometres time, just under. So it should go pretty quick. Ride at 30 mile an hour, 48 kilometres an hour. And that's on the flat part of the descent as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So just doing a bit of quick maths, looking at the rider finishing points. So obviously with Hannah and Frankie out front, Frankie and Hannah would secure 40 and 35 points respectively, so 75 points in total. Then actually there's a further 5-point drop off to third, and then it drops off by a point from third down to 10th. So 30 points down to 23. So actually I think it's going to be a challenge for the Rocket Corporate riders to catch the Bees of our riders, especially as they've also been hoovering up points, going up each of the 5 categorised climbs as well.
Yeah, it's like this final climb now, I don't think there'd be any fastest time segment points because they did that on the first time up it.
Yeah.
So pretty much from here, it shouldn't change too much. The BZR will probably get a few more points on them over the finish as well.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed we're right, and we're not putting out fake news. But I think hopefully we can be certain of drawing on points. But then we believe that actually when it goes back onto countback, the number of wins matters, and actually Loughborough Lightning, the Recruitment Group, has secured more wins over this 8-race series than Rocket Corba, therefore making us the winners.
8 weeks has gone pretty quick, really, isn't it? It's flown by.
Yeah.
When was 8 weeks ago? Was that February time or February, March?
Not quite. We're at the end of May, Matt.
I'm just thinking. Oh no, maybe it was mid March. Then we'll say.
Yeah. End of March. Yeah, give you that.
Okay. I've lost track of time. Okay, it's been a long year. It doesn't feel like the end of May, to be honest. No. I mean, it's pretty much rained the last week, so. But next week, Loughborough Campus Crit, the home race for the team.
Yeah.
Are spectators allowed now? I think they are, aren't they?
It's a good question. I believe so. Yeah.
I believe they are.
Outside gatherings of up to 30 people, aren't there? So as long as it's as long as spectators are suitably dispersed. Yeah. I mean, I would check official government guidance on that, but I'll certainly be watching the racing and actually racing myself later on in the evening as well. So.
Yeah, me too. I'll probably be on the live Twitter feed for the day for the youth racing, and the women's race also. So I'll be trying to keep you as up to date as possible, using the nice university Wi-Fi to not like some of these other races where they're putting the live feeds on from the team car in the middle of nowhere and there's no 4G, so you just get like a tweet every 3 hours or something. But should be well kept up to date with what's going on throughout the race. So if you want to, I think it'll be on the Loughborough Lightning, the Recruitment Group Twitter page, if you want to keep involved.
Yeah, sounds great. So Frankie actually looks like, judging by her heart rate, she's almost just cruising at this pace at this stage of the race. So she's down to 145 beats per minute, whereas each time we go up the climbs, it jumps up to 170. Where actually it looks 170 odd, but it looks like Hannah is still having to go pretty hard, almost 180 beats per minute there. So my money would personally be on Frankie to take the win up this final climb, but you never know, Hannah might be able to catch her out.
Yeah, as I said earlier, it'll be interesting to see what happens at this final climb, if they'll come through together, if Frankie will allow Hannah to win, if vice versa. I mean, they've got a minute and 50 seconds on the next rider, so they've got time to track stand and do whatever they like in that final straight. So
yeah,
like a track sprint on it.
Yeah, I can't see either of the riders, just knowing what both of them are like, I can't see either of them letting up on this climb too much. They'll want to put in a performance to be proud of and make sure the gap to the riders behind is as big as possible. So yeah, I don't think we'll be seeing any track stands today, unfortunately, Matt. Perhaps an exciting sprint. That might be enough. That might be something to look forward to.
That'd be good if they could keep it for the sprint. Dave, get on Discord and say we want a sprint. I'll message him.
So it looks like the BZR riders are trying to line it out, going as we just sort of descend a little bit, but I think as we were going up, a slight little rise there. Zan might have just been caught on the back foot a little bit. I saw her watts per kilo have to jump up over 5 watts per kilo, so she had to make a little bit of a dig to get back onto the Belgians' wheel, but she's there again now. Always difficult when it's two riders from one team up against one rider from another, because they can obviously use tactics against you. I'm sure they'll also be using the technology, using Discord to stay in touch with each other and communicate properly. But yeah, it's a further minute and 20 seconds back to the two Roca Corba riders, who I'm sure will be doing everything they can to try and claw back any kind of hope of a second place or a win on this race, this 8th race in the season. However, it's looking increasingly unlikely. But strange things have happened. Let's hope not, though, as Loughborough Lightning and the Recruitment Group are in an excellent position to take the win, not just in round 8, but also in the overall series. Helped out a little bit by our Belgian friends, so the BZR Black Flames team. If they come second and Roca Corba finish third, we will tie for points in the series with Roca Corba Cycling. However, due to the number of wins that Loughborough Lightning, the Recruitment Group, has had over the last 8 weeks, we would top the table on comeback.
Yeah, so the final climb is a time segment. Obviously, the rider's got to go as fast as possible at this. Hopefully, they're not. It doesn't. I think it doesn't count because they've already been at the climb before. But we're not going to tell them that because it's extra training, apparently.
I guess there is every chance that I mean, some of the riders might be fresh, potential, and they might for some reason have saved all their pennies for this last climb and put in a super fast performance going up the final segment. But I highly doubt it.
Yeah, if you've got that much energy left to beat your time up the first time up, then you haven't been going hard enough.
Yeah.
A bit of fatigued VO2 block. Yeah, be following Zan here on this final climb. Final 2-ish kilometres to go. No, they're just in that little section between the two climbs, actually.
I was going to say, Hannah's just coming up to the dashed red line that denotes to start the climb. So they're about to start the final ascent. There we go, ticking through.
Final climb, that's the same one that we did earlier in the day. So it is Fox Hill, 1.6 kilometres, an average of 7%, followed by 200 metres to descent and 500 metres flat finish. Apparently they're not leading the comp here, so we've got 6 minutes 13 seconds to beat. So gotta go full gas here now to get that final climb. I'm sure they'll be really happy about that.
As I say, it looks like Frankie's gone for it already. She's put 5 seconds into Hannah. Yeah, she's jumping up to the 6 watts per kilo. As Hannah's heart rate has jumped up another 10 beats per minute to 187. Let's jump over to Frankie now. So she's up to 177. So yeah, she was just cruising along that flat bit. Perhaps part of the team tactics, letting Hannah do some of the pulling along the bottom. And yeah, she's now doubled that up to 10 seconds gap now as well. She's consistently putting over a good half a watt per kilo more than Hannah now. Expect to see that gap grow.
Yeah, so we've got about 5 minutes of racing left for these front riders. Obviously, the fastest time up there at the moment is 6 minutes 13 seconds. So that is the time I believe Frankie is trying to go and beat to get that extra couple of points on the line. As you can see, she's banging out some decent watts here, 5-6 watts per kilo.
Mm-hmm.
That would, even in like a men's race, that would be big powers. So she's really pushing on here to get this fastest time on the nice pink Tron bike with the time trial helmet for those optimal aerodynamic gains. She needs to try and get the 28mm bars in game as well. That would some extra speed.
Is that a thing now? Is it narrower handlebars in the game?
I don't think it's in the game, but in real life.
I thought you were being genuine then. That's the sort of thing that Zwift would do, isn't it?
Yeah. It'd be cool if you could customise like that, so bar width, all that kind of stuff.
I'm sure the designers are still coming, or still working on it. But at the end of the day, I think part of the skill of riding with really narrow handlebars out in the real world wouldn't really transfer across the Zwift. Everybody would just do it, wouldn't it? And therefore defeating the object of it.
Yeah, as most of the bikes are pretty similar. I mean, there's differences between the bikes, but keep all the handlebar widths and all that kind of stuff the same. It just makes life a lot easier.
So Hannah now 190 beats per minute, so she hasn't let up, even though Frankie's left her up the road. Left her down the road. But yeah, still pushing hard all the way to the finish line. Some nice luminous thumbs up in her back pockets. See those little blue things in her jersey pockets. So yeah, feel free to. In fact, I would actively encourage you give her a ride on the Zwift Companion app, just to give her a little bit of encouragement over these last few kilometres.
Or type in the chat. Say, go on Frankie, go on Chloe, whoever you're supporting today, even if it's one of the BZR riders. We need them to do well as well here. Yeah. As we're watching Hannah here coming into the final 1 kilometre, so nearly at the top. Probably the last couple, maybe 300-400 metres over the top for that little descent and the flat to the finish. Sure, Frankie will be able to enjoy this finish today. Got a bit of time. Well, she's got a couple of minutes to the other riders.
Does the segment finish extremely close to the finish line, or is it on the finish line? If so, I don't think she'll be able to enjoy it.
The segment is the finish line.
Yeah, she won't enjoy it then, Matt.
She'll enjoy it just after the finish line then. So
it looks as though, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that, but one of the Belgian riders has broken clear of Zan and her teammate. Obviously
Van
using.
Hove.
Sorry, say again.
Van Hove.
No. Severe Van Hove is 28 seconds ahead, and one of the other riders has broken ahead and is now 2 seconds up the road.
Yeah.
As the other rider now makes a move. Zan tries to respond, but just hasn't got quite enough watts, I don't think. So she is going to be distanced a little bit here. But I guess she just needs to try if she can and jump back onto that wheel. And actually, if she can, the other rider might be dragging her back across to her teammate. But it doesn't look as though there's this. Well, it looks as though there is some daylight in between those wheels now. Zan looks a little bit broken, dropping below the 4 watts per kilo there.
Jump back to the front riders, Travis, because I think they're coming up to the finish line very, very soon.
Yep, sure. Yeah, you are right. Thanks for that, Matt. Yeah, so Frankie pushing at almost 10 watts per kilo at the top of this climb. Yeah, really, really pushing hard, and is certainly going to come home for the win here, having put 40 seconds into her teammate. Yeah, it's an emphatic victory for Frankie Hall.
Yes, that's very, very impressive. The Loughborough Lightning Recruitment Group, 2 riders that first and second there. Zan has put in a very solid performance as well. Yep. Chloe also. Let's jump back.
Yeah, we're back with Hannah now. I think you might be a few seconds behind us, Matt.
Yeah, I am. Don't worry.
Yeah, Hannah also putting out 5 watts per kilo on average. And she, it's just a few hundred meters from the finish line now, almost jumping up to 300 watts. Fantastic effort. 83 RPM, 196 beats per minute. Good job. Fantastic effort.
It's all looking good for the next weekend anyway. Round 2 of the women's team series at the Loughborough Campus Crit.
Yep, certainly
looking very promising.
Right, as we try and
go back to Zan next rider in, I think.
So we're back with Chloe at the moment as we try and jump up to Zan. Of course, so Zan is, this looks painful, Matt. 50 RPM, 60 RPM now. She's managed to pick up a little bit, but still beating away 191 beats per minute. God, it must be agony. And just slowly seeing those watts per kilo drop down. So it's not for a lack of effort, that's for sure. But looks like Zan's not necessarily run out of beans. I think she perhaps if it was an even fight with the other with the 2 BZR riders, she might have been able to hang in there. But obviously they've used their numbers to their advantage and have managed to break Zan over the course of the past few climbs. But no, it's a fantastic effort.
She's now just got to roll it back into the finish. I mean, she's got about a minute and a half for the rider behind.
Yeah.
So at this point, it's just worth not going to catch the rider in front at 20 seconds. So just roll it into the line and come through for that 6th position. So 1st, 2nd, 6th, and I don't know where Chloe is behind, but I would presume she's in that next group with that next group.
I don't think there is a next group, Matt.
There's one at 158-ish.
Yeah, I don't think
around the 2 minutes.
I don't believe she's a part of that group anymore, unfortunately. It looks like Smith. I'm not sure what team she is from, but she's dropped off the back. Oh, there we go. Chloe is 2 minutes 47 down. So yeah, she's lost a fair chunk of time on this part, on this final climb, unfortunately. But I don't think it's going to matter too much. I don't think she'll still get a decent number of points on the finish line, even if she won't get any for this individual climb. Zan now will be able to see the finish line. She rounds the final main corner, and then it's a gentle right hand round to the finish line.
I bet she is glad that's over.
Yeah, I bet she is. Yeah, those final few kilometres look painful. And then the heart rate's now dropped down.
The final 44 kilometres looked painful.
Yeah, great effort from Zan there to come across the line as 6th. As we jump back to Chloe now, who is in 13th position. So she's a decent chunk of time from the riders in front. So a further minute up ahead, and she's with one of the Betty Squad Racing Team riders, and they've got a decent gap back to one of the Rafa RCC riders and another one of the BZR athletes. So looks set to either take 13th or 14th. Be interesting, and we hope to see a sprint for 13th there.
We want to see a sprint. I'll get Dave on the message. You want to see a sprint? It's be a good little fight for this year as they come just about coming over the top of this final climb around this corner. As it opens up out of the trees onto the more exposed part, and then before that little descent and the flat to the finish. But essentially, you've still got another 90 metres of climbing to do. Maybe she's chopped a bit of the climbing off somehow.
Yeah, it is strange, isn't it, how you can be riding with somebody on Zwift and yet actually you don't register the same number of meters as somebody else. Because I think it's the same in real life, isn't it? GPS isn't always right, but for some reason in Zwift as well, it's not always consistent in my experience either.
I just heard that Zan doesn't have a cadence sensor, hence why the cadence wasn't.
See. 80% here now for Chloe, as she's actually managed to drop Betty Squad racing rider. So she's doing everything she can to avoid that sprint we were talking about, Matt. But not going to complain because she's.
I want to see it.
Yeah, if it was the other way around, we'd be mad. But obviously, seeing the rider drop away now, going from 4 seconds to 8 seconds, as Chloe looks to have cracked that rider there. I think it's hopefully 13th place for Chloe there.
Lucky 13. What the other riders in the race? Can we go down and see any of them?
So if we join, back with Meg and Flora, so they are in 26th and in 30th position respectively. So they are still in for some points, which is great news. They're on the final ascent, but still got a little way to go. Both still pushing hard as well, with heart rates up there in the 180s, both of them. In fact, Flora's up to 190. Let's give her a thumbs up to encourage her all the way to the finish line there.
Yeah, it's definitely been a big day, big gaps today. That's what I've noticed the most from this course. It's just blown up. I haven't seen this big gaps in a Zwift race in my life, to be honest. Apart from up the Alp or something, but maybe next time they'll take the course up the Alp.
And there we go.
A lot of riders would not enjoy that.
Definitely not. And there we go. That was Chloe just crossing the line in 13th position there. Fantastic effort. Another top 15 position, and we'll go a long way in securing the overall victory for us today. And fingers crossed, but unconfirmed in the entire series.
Yes. So should we wrap it up here? The finale of the Zwift Racing League Season 3. It's been a journey the last 8 weeks, hasn't it, Travis? Commentary.
To us, Matt, I'm over the moon. I'm thrilled that we've been able to keep chatting for almost an hour and a half now, and for my Wi-Fi to not drop out at all. So I'm very proud of that. And it's been, as you said, it's been good fun. We've hopefully got a little bit more adept at this live stream business. But thank you to all of you who continue coming back week on week, and despite the technical difficulties that we've had at certain points. But yeah, we will be back in the autumn, that's for sure.
Yeah, so thank you for joining us over this last 8 weeks. I know this commentating thing's definitely going on the CV now, and hopefully I'll get a job commentating the Tour Series or something like that. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's been good fun. It's been nice to watch some bike racing, especially during the lockdown in like March time. It's been good watching some bike racing, really.
Yeah, I guess,
albeit virtual.
Yeah, I mean the fantastic thing is now these riders will go on throughout the summer, and as we mentioned, the Banbury race was the first round of the women's national series. Second round is at the Loughborough Cycling Festival on Monday, but they will continue to race in real life, not only in that series but also various other national events across the country over the coming months. And of course, you can keep up to date with all the Loughborough Lightning, the Recruitment Group, team's progress on all the social media channels. So we're on Twitter, as Matt was alluding to earlier. We're also on Instagram. Got a Facebook page as well, so be sure to head over to each of those and show your support for the team. But I guess the only thing left to say really is a fantastic well done to each of the 6 riders, and of course Sam as well, for guesting for us on this occasion. And again, saying thank you to the Recruitment Group for their support in making this team happen. It wouldn't happen without them, and of course the support of Loughborough Sport and all the sort of auxiliary services that come with that support as well. It's fantastic to see this team coming to fruition and doing so well at the first opportunity. Really, I think it's a massive hurdle to overcome, to have won so many races and won the series in such dominant fashion as well. Obviously had a good tussle with Rocker Corbett, but I think yeah, it's great to see Loughborough Lightning coming out on top, and look forward to joining you again in the autumn. But that's all from me, and yeah, I'll let you have the last say, Matt.
Yeah, I think you've wrapped it really well there, so I'll just have a short